Thank you for staying tuned to Nigeria Info 95.1. Hope that you are having a good Thursday. It's the second day in March 2023, and we're here to ensure that we keep you informed because we are passionate, trustworthy, and conversational as well. Welcome to Hard Facts. How are you? That's an honest question. How are you? Really? I hope you had a good time listening to Famidi on the Morning Crossfire. LL Fizi on what's happening in Abuja, the sunny side with SWAT. I'm right here. My name is Itodo on the Hard Facts, and we are going to have a good time having important conversations today. So ensure that you engage and join in as well. You can watch live anywhere you are. Simply go to our YouTube and Facebook pages and join the conversation, okay? So you can also share your thoughts via the Facebook and the YouTube platforms at Nigeria Info Abuja. As always, I'll tell you, hey, subscribe and click the little bell. You know, this is my is a podcaster or blogger moment. Click the little bell there to get notified whenever it is that we are online. I'm joined this afternoon by Salisu Abdulahi, who is a lawyer and editor at Page 36. Welcome and good to have you as always.
Thank you.
We were together on election day.
Yeah, we're
talking about the elections, and this is post-election, and the energy is not what you would expect. Everyone has a different vibe going for them. But as usual, as people would say, Nigerians are the most loving people. You know, in time we get to accept and find a way to move on from wherever it is. But before we get into the conversation on the roundtable today, going through the big stories, let me get your quick review of the post-election vibe and energy that you are getting at this time.
Oh, okay. So my observation since yesterday, in as much as I saw a lot of people sad, but I had to look at the other side. I actually saw a couple of people, I don't know, let me not say a lot.
Because you didn't go around the country.
Exactly. I saw a section of people jubilating, even on my timeline. You know, I have different people I follow, so I could see celebrations. Some people were celebrating, some people were sad. But there's something I took note of yesterday as well. On Twitter, I was thinking, how did the president-elect feel to have Revolution Now trending on Twitter on the day of the announcement of your winning of the presidential election? That was very telling, So the mood is quite different. We're going to get into some things right now. We're going to talk about the youths, So generally, the country is it's not fully excited.
Yet, but are we going to get there at any point in time? Are we going to have acceptance or give acceptance to the person that has been elected?
It depends, because somebody asked me yesterday, somebody called me and they were asking me, what are we supposed to do right now? So I said, who are the we? The only people that could take any action right now are the aggrieved presidential candidates. There's nothing we really can do as citizens, So we have to, whoever candidate you support that you feel actually did better than who was announced as the winner, you just hope that they actually go to court, go to tribunal and try their luck.
Well, they've been asked to do that by the president. The incumbent president has asked anyone who is not happy with the results of the election, which he says, according to him, is fair and was credible, to go to court and seek redress.
Yeah, that fair and credible, I think, is really pissing a lot of Nigerians off, because we saw what we saw. So even if they did not see what we saw, we actually saw what we saw. Nigerians saw what they saw, So going back to that, supporters of the different candidates that they're saying actually won, we just hope or push their candidates to go forward with the legal action. And there's also this conversation of people saying, do not waste your time going to court. Because it's like the Nigerian judiciary right now is not trustworthy, which I do not fully believe in. We have had history of different kinds of rulings that have shocked us, where we have seen a fourth position in the governorship election come first. We have seen the Supreme Court make some other ridiculous judgments that I've made them very questionable.
By the way, we have the Naira. We design have it hearing tomorrow.
I still insist that the presidential candidates that are aggrieved should go to court. go and seek justice. At least go and try to seek justice, and let's see that you tried and you didn't get it, or you tried and you might just get it. Yeah.
All right, let's see who we have on socials right now. Samuel Chidera says, watching from Abuja, Day. Joshua Chijioke Unwo Gigi says, watching from Anambra State. Great to have you a part of the conversation today on Hard Facts. And Ibrahim Hajara, I'm always looking forward to your emojis once we go live. Thank you for watching. Mahmoud Mohammed, welcome. Hope that you are having a good Thursday as well. Okay, so let's get into the first major headline making the rounds, because basically a lot of it is focused on the president-elect, and he has been making statements when he gave his acceptance speech. Rather, he gave a statement that he's going to be fair to all Nigerians, whether or not they voted for him. That was a bit welcoming. That was something that could have been something that would bring Nigerians together if you look at it in the way that he was putting it out there. But we're joined right now by Daniel Jaja, who is a public affairs analyst. Welcome, Daniel. Great to have you on the show.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Good afternoon. How's your Thursday feeling?
Well, so far, not bad. A bit of worries, a bit of hope, a lot of mixed emotions.
I'm curious to know what you're worried about. Do you want to share? Do you mind sharing, or is it just something you keep to your heart?
Well, I believe the whole country is still a bit under tension as a result of the events of the weekend and the elections and the whole process. And yes, that is why I am a bit worried, a bit concerned, because I think there may have been some miscalculations, and I'm not referring to the results that were given out, but I'm referring to the general atmosphere in the country, particularly with the new generation and future of Nigeria that we have, who are a different breed from my generation and the generation that came before me. And I think we should all be a little bit concerned as to how the young Nigerians are going to take the events of the weekend, regardless of what the elders say. And that is where I think a miscalculation was made.
Now let's get into the conversation about Tinubu extending an olive branch and also inviting youths to rescue Nigeria. Youths are an integral part of the country, and for any government to work, they need to ensure that they are working together with the youths and carrying them along, and not just putting them aside because they are of different generations, like you mentioned. So what he's saying pretty much is that he would like his supporters as well as fellow contestants to join him in pulling Nigeria out of the present challenges that we're facing. There's so much going on in Nigeria right now, and it's safe to say he's got his work cut out for him, because it could be overwhelming with the debts we are servicing right now. The economy is not where you would hope that it would be at this point in time for a country like Nigeria. Now, he further extended the olive branch to his rivals in opposition parties, the PDP, the LP, as well as the NNPP. And he's also set up a reconciliation committee, which we'll talk about real quick. What do you hope that committee will do? Because we've seen spokesperson not exactly give the right energy and somewhat shake the polity with some statements that they've made. So in constituting that committee, which is going to reach out to some of these opposition party members and candidates to ensure that they are on the same page, because the only way Nigeria can work is if everyone is on the same page and working towards the same goal. So I have you go first. Give a bit of an idea of what you feel, what you think this olive branch should have, and what this reconciliation committee should be doing or working towards.
Well, if you want my personal opinion on that, my tukubu, for what it's worth, I am by the simplest of definitions, I would consider myself an idealist. And an ideal situation is always one that you strive towards, knowing that you're not likely to achieve it. But that does not mean you should, focus on anything else apart from striving to achieve what is ideal. And the great hope, particularly with many young Nigerians, after the last few years of hardship that the country has endured as a whole, and from my perspective, never really recovered from the economic turmoil that was brought about by COVID-19, among other things. What a lot of Nigerians were looking forward to after all the financial instruments employed and things invested was free and fair elections, where the authenticity of the result would not be doubted regardless of how it turned out. Unfortunately, we all know how things went, and I am someone who believes strongly in a society governed by laws. And the laws, based on what the Electoral Act as amended 2022 put forward, would have required a cancellation and rerun of the election, because the laws were clearly stated and defined. The element within the whole election process that was put in place by INEC to guarantee the authenticity of the results failed. For whatever reasons, be it that someone did not do their homework, be it that there were problems when scaling the system up from state elections to national elections. But at the end of the day, a society can only function properly when the law that everyone is aware of is abided by. And from my personal opinion and perspective, though I am not a lawyer, there was enough grounds to state that things did not go as the law required, and therefore, what would have been the best solution from my perspective would have been to, if necessary, declare the results as inconclusive.
So we have a lawyer here, so we don't go too far with that conversation. Let's have him give us, his thoughts on that. We saw opposition reach out and tell, the INEC chairman that these results have not been uploaded as promised. I mean, prior to the election, we had this constant reassurance that the results were going to be uploaded at the polling unit as soon as they were done being collated. But that did not happen. Now, while some people stated that it would have been impossible to stop the national collation, and even calls to the president were made, but he said he did not want to interfere with the process until it was done with. And of course, we heard a statement where he mentioned that anyone who is aggrieved or doesn't feel happy enough about the result should go to court. We've seen this opposition give statements as to what their next course of action will be. But let's talk to us about what the law says regarding that.
Okay, so the INEC chairman, or INEC itself is a very independent body, So as an independent body, the problem that we have is who checks you, So as an independent body, nobody can really check you. You have the final say. That's the problem we have with INEC right now. But as to having the power to do and undo in terms of the results that we announced and the alleged regains and the violence and everything that took place, the INEC chairman had the power to actually stop the coalition. There's nothing impossible. He had the final say as to anything. He could declare inconclusive. He could cancel and say, let's go for a rerun. He had the final say. But what did he decide to do? He decided to do what he chose to do. He said he didn't see the violence. He said the elections were free and fair. I think that's where people are questioning his integrity at the moment.
Now, you and I tried to access the IREV on the day of the election, but that was impossible. We had a hard time doing that.
And people complain about that as well. Then other things that he actually said, because he's on record telling people that, the results are going to be uploaded directly from the polling units immediately to the IREV. He clearly said that on many occasions. But we've seen situations where the INEC chairman has done like he didn't tell anybody any of these things. We've even had the Senate president come out to say, we never told you guys about any electronic transfer of results or wherever. But he actually told people to wait at the polling units. So what was the purpose of telling people to wait and make sure that the results were uploaded on the platform? And that's what people are questioning right now. That's what people are complaining about, because people are not adding, the numbers are not adding up. We had the LP come out to say that the Lagos numbers released for the party was not even decent number. Even the PDP confirmed that as well, where they're alleging 900,000, but INEC put there 500 and something for LP. So basically, all I'm trying to say is that the INEC chairman has the final say, but there's a problem where he fails to do the right thing. Who checks him? The law does not provide for that. So what he tells the parties at that point in time, the aggrieved parties, is that go to court. Go to court. But he failed on his own part to actually listen to what people were saying. There were videos, there were recordings, there was evidence on social media everywhere.
Now, if he had tried to stall the process or have it come off as inconclusive at that point in time, based on the reports and complaints they were giving, wouldn't he have been seen as supporting one candidate over the other?
No, he could have been seen as listening to the people. You have to listen. So you're not just listening based on nothing. They're going to show you things. Oh, if they say there's rigging here, there's violence here, you ask for evidence. Then when you look at all the evidence, I felt like at some point they should have paused the coalition to look at what people were presenting and what people were saying. You have to listen to aggrieved people. You can't just say, oh, this one is not complaining, so I don't listen to this one that is complaining. Everybody has to have a fair hearing. We're in a democracy.
But while we had complaints of violence and disruption, we also had places that went on no issues at all.
Fine,
So do you think he looked at that side by side, compared, and decided maybe it's not enough reason to pause or call off the collation?
Well, when you look at it from that angle, there would be no reason to nullify or declare void votes in any polling unit where there were no reports of violence or intimidation, where there were no allegations of fraud. But everywhere where there was any form of evidence of violence or any form of reports and evidence uploaded online with ballot boxes being snatched and the consequences of such for those who were involved in it, that should have been enough reason for, and I believe the INEC outlines and rules allow for that, to declare certain results from certain polling units as inadmissible or void and ask for a rerun within a stipulated period of time. And that is what everyone expected, because for all Nigerians who went out to vote, the confidence in the freeness and fairness of these elections and the authenticity of the result was assured by INEC through the uploading from the polling units to the IREV portal.
So I'm going to pause you right there and have you complete your thoughts much later, but we need to go on a break right now. And when we come back, we'll get into your messages as well. You can watch live on YouTube and Facebook right now at Nigeria Info Abuja, and comment as well, because I'm taking your comments shortly. Stay tuned to Nigeria Info 95.1.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
Nothing breaks the news like the news. Trust me, I can prove it. I do it every morning on Morning Crossfire from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Nigeria Info 95.1, and I'm Femi D. Amede. Join the biggest conversation around the national politics every day in a way that is trustworthy, full of passion, and yes, covers the biggest politics and the stories that matter to you. See, you have all the reasons to find out what's going on in Nigeria and be engaged differently. Let's talk. That's the way to go, even this morning.
This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria.
We're talking on and discussing the big stories making the rounds today. Daniel Jaja is still here, as well as Salisu Abdulahi. Let's have you complete your thoughts regarding INEC and, of course, the concerns a lot of Nigerians have.
Yes, the faith of the voters, everyone who made sure as best they could to get their PVCs and to travel home from wherever they live to get to their polling units and come out on election day, on a day where the majority of the population cannot move around as freely as they usually would for the sake of security reasons. The faith of all Nigerians who partook in the election was based on the authenticity or the integrity of the results to be presented by INEC. And INEC made it very clear. INEC assured voters, to my recollection, and voters accepted based on their assurances that if it was done as they said it would be done, which was that results would be uploaded directly from the polling units to the IREV system. If that had happened, then everyone would have had to accept the outcome of the results. But because that didn't happen, and instead we found ourselves going back to a situation of manual collation, which what everyone was afraid of as the weakest points when it comes to the integrity of the result and authenticity, because that is where a lot of manipulation is possible. I feel the INEC chairman should have been more sensitive to that issue, to have understood that the reason why particularly the younger Nigerians, the ones that are fresh out of university or still in it and turned 18 a few months ago and got their PVCs to be able to partake in the democratic process, there should have been more sensitivity towards the reality that in absence of the upload directly from the polling units, there would be questions and doubts as to the authenticity of the results.
Well, let's get into talking about the olive branch extended by the president-elect. And I'm going to read excerpts from his statement. Now, for this to be a victory at all, it cannot simply be a victory for one man or even one party. It must become a victory for all Nigerians who are committed to a greater society. I know many did not vote for me, and you are disappointed that your candidate is not where I now stand. I understand your hurt. To you, I extend the embrace and comfort of one family member to another. This great project called Nigeria becomes to us all. It is bigger and more important than any partisan divide. As I hold this certificate, this moment is one of celebration and gladness for us. The road has been long, yet we walked. The battle has been fought, yet we won it. Salisu.
Go on.
Is this olive branch something that will be accepted by those it's extended to? And how can the president-elect and the committee formed ensure that it is not discarded and it is handled in the best way possible?
Okay, first of all, I think these are normal things that, the candidates are supposed to, or the president-elect is supposed to say when he's announced. These are normal committees that they inaugurate, which we probably never hear anything about, But I felt like Tinubu could have done more than just just saying that he's extending an olive branch. There were situations where his alleged boys in Lagos were attacking a particular people from a certain region in the country.
But it's nothing to prove that he has direct links to these people.
He does. I don't want to call names here. There was somebody directly in his polling unit on the election day that is very associated with Tinubu actually speaking or sending off people from the southeast from the polling unit.
And that is confirmed. Is it?
Yeah, there's a recording on that. You know, I felt like Tinubu could have done more with his speech by directly calling on some of his supporters to douse then the violence, you know, stop attacking people. He could have done more. Say things more directly, you know. Don't just say, oh, I'm extending an olive branch. He could have said, oh, I do not want any attack on so and so people. We are all Nigerians at this point in time. I want to work with the East, the West, the North, the South. There are more direct ways to speak about these things rather than just giving ambiguous statements that are political and very diplomatic. You know, I felt like he could have done more considering the situation of the country. And whether this extension of olive branch is going to be effective or whatnot, you can tell right now because people are angry. People are saying right now, allegedly, that you stole our mandate. You know, so you can be talking to them right now and expect them to want to work with you. So whether this is going to even work in the long run, we have to watch and see how things play. Because I feel maybe if the other candidates probably take up the matter or do not take up the matter and we are ended with this person as our president, we have no choice than to accept him and really see, based on his actions, you know, if indeed he was extending a genuine olive branch.
Let's take some feedback right now and get to hear from you as well as what your thoughts are about the conversation today. 0700 951 0000 0809597 4869. Those are the numbers to call. You can also join on WhatsApp. You can call using the WhatsApp voice call option or send a message to 080-9993-0137. Welcome to you.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon.
What's your name?
My name is Joseph.
Go ahead, Joseph.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay. You see, things about Nigeria, it's getting everyone tired. I think every other country is on 21st century. We are all going far. Other countries are going far. And Nigeria seems to be crawling this way. No matter how you try to pretend, no matter how you try to cover it up, the world knows the truth. You see, I'm only sympathizing, like the man you're talking with there in the studio. I appreciate the way he's reasoning. Sometimes I began to feel so bad for my younger generation. I was born around the 80s, so we know what we saw. But can you believe there are these people who were born from 1990 who have never tasted fairness? I tell you the truth, Nigeria has lacked consent. We don't even think about this youth. Most of them are still 17, 18, and all they've been growing up from the moment they started growing up to today. They have been seeing hardship, they've been seeing a lockdown, they've been seeing this and that, youth shot on the street. You know, these people, you know, this set of youth we are talking about, let's remember they are the ones who take over from us.
All right.
So if they are seeing these things, I don't know how they are going to react when their own time comes. Now, regarding the election and what the incoming president said, the olive branch and whatever, any other person can give an olive branch. It's not as if it's something I can tell you good morning, but I don't know if it's rightly from my heart.
All right.
So I feel the best thing Nigerians should do right now is those who God has planted. You know, it's not everyone that can take bribe. There are still people who are in the judiciary who would decide to give their life for their children's children to see the truth.
All right,
So
thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right, have a good one. Welcome to you.
Hello. Good afternoon, Mr. Itodo.
Good afternoon.
And good afternoon to our guest.
Go ahead.
My name is Salisu. I want to comment on this issue of this election. I can hear our guest was saying that our electoral, the INEC are independent. I don't believe that. The INEC, they are independent. They are being appointed by the president. Do you remember the Committee of Justice West when late Umaru Musa Yar'Adua was set up? How the INEC chairman will be we emerge as an INEC chairman, and now they are talking of to seek redress in court. In which court? Me, I don't believe on all this going for them wasting their resources and their money for in order to seek redress in court. So it has gone, and let's forget and move on with our life. If they should support this government to see that we achieve this country move greater than this. But for them going to court, even the president that said the election was credible, has he ever won the case in court?
All right.
Even when he was in opposition? So he shouldn't be telling us to go to court. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Salasi. Welcome to you.
Hello, Itodo, Mr. Jaja and Mr. Good afternoon. This is the Honorable Minister of your mind.
Welcome.
Honestly, the barrister you said it. Mr. INEC Dama, if not that is in this country, supposed to, there is something called a breach of, you know that what he did to Nigeria is a breach of, criminal breach of trust. This is a man saying that right from the voting unit, then he will he will upload direct to the National Collection Center. He said it in several occasions here. He said it in Chatham House. If they cannot hold him responsible here, the comment he made in Chatham House, I think they can use it to hold him there. You understand me? You know, say sometimes when they do something, they go a step from Nigeria here.
All right.
And, when they go that place, at least to say that he deceived the whole world, if they cannot hold him here, they should extend it to that side.
All right. Thank you very much for your thoughts. Let's go straight to our WhatsApp platform right now to take some of your messages. As an independent body, you are checkmated by all, but there were evidence of overvoting, which is penalized by cancellation. Then why can't ballot box snatching and manipulation of results take the same penalty? That's a question I'd like you to answer when we're done with this. And this says, good afternoon, I salute you all. This is Chinelo. What baffled me most is the pains the masses went through due to the money redesign policy. To get it right in the elections, at the end of the day, we gained nothing from it. All right. And I feel INEC should give an account of the billions of taxpayers' money that was spent during the conduct or for the conduct of the election. In a country where most of us went out to vote without food in our bellies, believing that what he emphatically said he would do would have been done. But in reality, that was not the case. Charles from Area 10. And Comrade Timothy Michael says, people easily forget that there was a mock election before the proper election. All these was to give citizens the assurance that the election will be free and fair. But see what we got at the end? All my trekking from old CBN to Area 10 to vote seemed to have been in vain. And Abba Simon from Maraba says, as a good citizen of this country, I saw what happened during the elections. It was unfortunate that we did not get it right this time around, because what has been happening over the years keeps repeating itself. Sometimes the system is run in the most unfavorable condition and doesn't favor every Nigerian. How many days did it take to get the outcome of the election? We can't continue like this. And Nathaniel from AYA says, people should understand that there are millions of Nigerians who are happy with the end result of this election. It's wrong for everyone or anybody to say that people are not happy. If you're not happy because your candidate lost, that's okay. But there are people who are happy because the candidate won, and we need to remember that fact. All right. Welcome to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, this is my first time of talking to you. My name is Chop Chop.
Welcome.
Please, there is one assertion I want to make on this election. I'm still confused now on how we can still be recording overvoting. Because in my polling units, immediately accredited by Beavers, they give you the ballot papers. You go and cast your vote and go. So I wonder how whether is it different from other polling units. Did they do accreditation? Then you go and wait after all everybody has been accredited before they now share ballot papers. Because the way we do it is that INEC officials are sitting down there. You come, you bring your card, they will accredit you. Immediately the beavers make you good, you move to collect your ballot paper and go to booth and thumbprint and go and put in the ballot box and go away. I mean, if you want to wait, you wait. If you don't want to wait, you wait. I wonder why we still recorded overvoting. What does that mean? Does it mean that INEC officials in those polling units intentionally overshared the papers, or them themselves thumbprinted and put to make sure that the voting in that particular unit that recorded overvoting does not count? I mean, I still don't understand how overvoting is still being repeated by this time after Beavers.
All right. Thank you very much for your thoughts. Right. So let's have you speak about overvoting, because some of that was recorded during the elections and some of those polling units had to be cancelled. There were also instances of refusal to use the beavers as well. But right now his concern is the fact that when you accredit yourself, you're voting at the same time. But some polling units complained that after accreditation, they were told to come back and vote. And you know what, that could cause, in the long run.
After accreditation, they had to come back to vote. But that's still not supposed to lead to overvoting, because what the problem we're actually hearing from the people on the election day were shortage of ballot papers, so how come we really did not even address that matter, but we're having cases of even overvoting, so that's where you have to question INEC and question the INEC officials. I think in those cases is where you have to call it rigging, because there's not supposed to be normal cases of overvoting. There are numbers of people that are supposed to vote in a particular polling unit. There are even cases of people that went to what they thought were their polling units on the election day, and they found out at that point in time that here's not my polling unit, and they had to go figure out where their polling units actually were. So this is where we question INEC still. Because most of this bulk we have to put on INEC, than any other person. We have to put on INEC and put on the officials that they put on ground. You took a lot of money to make sure that you train these people. There are funds that were budgeted for training and educating these people. We had a case where somebody had to upload her picture on the IRF, and in my mind, what was happening here? Did they not have orientation? So it still falls down to INEC. INEC needs to answer, why did we have overvoting at some polling units? And even when they cancel the elections, are we having reruns in those places?
What should be the repercussion for manipulation if it has been investigated and ascertained as results being manipulated? Because we don't get to hear much of that.
Well, I believe that in line with the general law in Nigeria, any manipulation of such results would fall under fraud. And there's a clear legal, there are paragraphs concerning that, and there are clearly laid out penalties for that. But I would also like to point at one problem that I see with our whole voting systems and the way we run our elections and the way we choose to be governed. The situation we find ourselves in right now is, and I mentioned earlier, a tense situation, because the reality that we cannot ignore, this is me now speaking as an analyst, is that we do not actually have a majority government. What we have is a plurality government. A majority is achieved when you have more than 50% of the votes. That's the simple majority. So we need to also be sensitive and understand even all the voters who decided to cast their vote on behalf of the declared winners and the president-elect, they need to understand that we are currently in a situation where the president-elect has garnered, rounded off, about 40% of the votes, which is not a majority. And the voices that are questioning the authenticity of that vote are doing so with the actual majority. Because even if we consider all the 18 parties that put forward candidates, we know that the two big big opposition parties with the PDP and the Labour Party together actually come across that 51% threshold. So we need to understand that at this point in time, yes, people are happy that their candidate and their party won. But they need to understand that they are actually in the minority, because the combination of those, or the numbers of those who are unhappy and questioning the authenticity of the vote are much larger than those who are celebrating their victory. So that is one of the few things that I would have loved to have seen amended in the Electoral Act in 2022, which unfortunately was not addressed, because in most democracies, you still need to have, if your party makes, like in this situation, 40% of the vote, you find yourself as the party with the elected party with the mission to govern. However, you cannot do so without forming a coalition with one or more other parties that give you at least 51% of the total vote, so that we can really say, yes, majority carried the vote and the majority of voters is represented.
But we have a criteria to determining the president of Nigeria, and that is having at least 25% in 2/3 of the state, including the FCT.
Yes.
Right?
that confusion.
That has been a confusion for a lot. It's been really confusing for a lot of people, and it's been explained over and over again. But Salisu, I'd like you as a lawyer to break it down. Yeah. Give like a clear, concise explanation to that.
It's just going to be an opinion, though, because we leave the interpretation of the laws to the courts. So we found different people trying to explain what and the FCT means, so some people even had to go back to the Constitution, where the FCT was actually defined as a state, an extra state. Then you had this section of people that were like, oh, they meant 25% of 24 states and the FCT, meaning you must secure 25% in the FCT. But I don't think that's what it meant, though, so let me give an example. I think if you secure a presidential candidate secures 25% in 24 states, and the FCT, that counts. Did I say 24?
24 states.
24. Yeah. And the FCT, that actually counts, because the FCT is just considered as one of the states. Basically, that's the only way I can explain it. But the courts can come and interpret it and give us a Supreme Court judgment that says otherwise. But for now, it's not yet before the Supreme Court to determine. We feel like that's what it means.
All right, so Soa Jacob on YouTube says, we should stop saying Nigerians are not happy. If you lost an election and you're not happy, please say you're not happy. Stop saying Nigerians, because many Nigerians went out to vote for the candidate that won. And Savion Kanang, I want to say here that I'm not happy. Okay, speaking for himself now, with the outcome of the elections. I was denied my right to vote. My polling unit 009 LEA Primary School, Lube, Abuja, the election was cancelled. Why exactly was it cancelled? It'd be great to know what happened that led to it, to you not being able to vote, and as well as the cancellation. Winner Etelbet says, I'm worn out with the disappointments already, so now that the government has succeeded, can they at least release the Naira? Because I'm exhausted. There's also that concern, because there were hopes that once the election is over, which is not really over, because we have the gubernatorial and State House of Assembly to, handle March 11. So it's not really over until it's over.
But because the governorship is very important.
There's the hope that, the Naira is distributed and more people are able to get access to it, because it seems to be crippling daily activities for a lot of people, not being able to get to work using the cabs, the roadside cabs, not being able to buy anything with petty cash, and transactions as well.
Online.
Not going through. You try to open a bank app and you are praying for your bank application to open, and then for the transfer to even go through. I'm not talking about the extra charges in transferring. So you buy something for a certain amount of money and the extra charges on it again. It's a bit worrisome.
And when the transactions fail, you hope they don't take your money and hold it. That's the banks. That one is frustrating as well.
Yeah. Let's go back to the phone lines. Welcome to you. Are you there?
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Ibn Ali.
Let's hear from you.
The election has come and gone. The presidential election, the results have been announced. And I want us to know that in democracy, after the election, not every party that will be happy, especially if you are not the one that were declared the winner. It happened even in developed countries. And we should understand that in this country, when it favors you, you help the system. When it go against you, you criticize the government. That is how it is for all the parties. The ones that are celebrating today, if it is not favor them, they will be complaining. And the ones that are complaining today, if it is they are the ones that INEC declared the winner, they will be saying all sorts of different the INEC chairman.
All right.
So I fought the opposition party, most especially the PDP and the Labour Party. That very day at the collection center, they need to come with a clear handout that, okay, this is the collection we have put together by our agents at the local government and state level, and this is the result. We are submitting it officially to you.
All right.
Before the final announcement. Why did you do that?
All right. Thank you for your thoughts right there. Welcome to you.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ola.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me first start by saying that in addition to what the last caller said about people being happy and we also be unhappy after any election. Fine. I mean that's a true reason. But the fact is, look, when the majority of Nigerians are not happy.
How are you sure majority are not happy? Do you have data to prove that? I can hear you, Ola. When you say majority,
you don't need any clairvoyant to tell you that, look, something is wrong with that election. But that,
hold on, Ola. Hold on. I asked you a question. Hold on. You say majority of Nigerians are not happy, and I'm asking, do you have data to prove that majority are not happy, or this is just you speaking right now?
One of your guests is giving you the statistics. That the person that won this election won it with roughly 36%. It means that the other people who didn't vote for him, which constitute about how many now? I mean, almost 64%. I'm not happy. It's as simple as that, Itodo. Now, but let me quickly add this, sorry, before I drop this call. Now, I think most of us lived on false hope. We should not forget that this INEC chairman was one that conducted the 2019 elections, which people many faulted. So all of us first look, the man is going to become a born again. It's only going to become a born again, and it's going to constitute. It's going to conduct them a very good election in 2023.
All right,
so we made a mistake.
Let's leave you there. Let's leave you there. Thank you very much. Welcome to you.
Hello. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Itodo.
Good afternoon to you. What's your name?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is Cash Flow calling from Abuja.
Welcome.
I just want to make a correction about the caller before Ola that. Whenever the system favors, any presidential candidate that wins, that the person will say the INEC has done a good job and support him. That's not true. Even Yaradua, late Yaradua, attests to the fact that the system and process that brought into power was not, done well. So we should not come and put out the wrong information, to the public. We will not accept that because
all right.
The truth is that we are not saying the person who won did not win, but the process that brought him is what is in question, and the INEC chairman has a question to answer. He will not be left to do whatever he wants because he cannot play with the intelligence of Nigerians. So that's it.
All right, thank you. Welcome to you.
Hello?
Are you there? Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Can you speak up, please, so I can hear what you're saying? You sound...
Can you hear me?
Let's try this. What's your name?
My name is Ola.
You just called in right now, yes?
No.
This is a different Ola. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, please. My thought is that the elections, I would disagree with your guest when he said the majority didn't vote. Although the majority didn't vote in terms of majority simplicity, but the law provides that even if one person, even the score is a simple majority. Simple majority does not have to be 50, 51%. Simple majority implies that even if you lead by just one vote, a single vote, the law of Nigeria declares you as the winner. The law does not say you must have the majority. Simple majority in the eyes of the law is even you must get simple majority, one person higher than everybody. And even the so-called PDP, Labour Party, they didn't get the majority of votes too, but they lost the election.
All right.
So you can't say on that authority, you say that because most of them lost. There are many political parties So they cancelled out themselves.
All right.
That was why they lost the election. The INEC has declared somebody as the winner. I think it behoves on all Nigerians to work together, a better country. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's go straight to WhatsApp and get some of your messages right now. Nathaniel from AYA says, people should understand that there are millions of Nigerians who are happy with the end result. I believe I took this message earlier. Okay. And this one, okay. All right. Israel from Kuje says, I think the Electoral Act provides for electronic transfer of results. Section 68 only mandates INEC to upload the declared results on INEC portal, while Section 60 gives INEC power to determine the model to use for the election. So I think we should spread we should not spread, of course. So that's the thing that is, people have an issue understanding. INEC determines how the collation will be transmitted. And prior to the election, they constantly stated that it would be electronically transmitted, and also had a bit of a meeting with the NCC as well to ascertain that they had good network across various parts of the country, and wherein that was not made possible. You could still upload the result, and when you get to a location with good network or internet connection, that result will be transmitted. Yes?
Yes.
But then, that's not what played out.
See that. And the question I raised earlier, who checks the INEC chairman? I felt like only the president could step in at that point in time, because the president is the one that appointed him, though with the confirmation of the Senate. But who checks him, though? Who tells him do the right thing at this point in time? That's where we're stuck.
All right. Okoli Adolfo says, Nigerian youths mustn't despair in pursuing the much expected country missions, because lying immediately after the darkest hours of the night is the glorious dawn. I'm just trying to understand your message right there. Okay, and this one from David Nduse. Is INEC promising the electronic transmission of results on March 11th? Are we still going to go back to manually recording results and the previous system used? For the first time in the history of Nigeria. All right, Blossom, thank you for your thoughts right there. And okay, so did the person so this Yaya is asking a question right here. Your guest mentioned INEC calling for a rerun. Did the person or party that was declared winner not meet up with the simple majority required by the Electoral Act, or to be declared a winner? Did the agents of all the parties not sign the results from every state of the federation, including the FCT? Why did INEC? All right. Yeah, thanks for your message right there. So you made a statement, right? And I'll have you explain it real quick as to what you really meant. And it had to do with the fact that if the process was paused when the complaints were raised, then, of course, whatever followed afterwards could have been better handled. That's the point you were trying to make at the time when you made that statement. But we need to break for the news right now, because Joy is right here and giving me the hand. Hello, Joy. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I like the fashion for today.
Yeah, it's very hot.
Are you staying hydrated, Joy?
I am.
All right, so stay tuned. We're back to continue this conversation. Of course, taking messages across our platforms.